Imagine this: a thriving empire with skyscraper-like buildings, flushing toilets, and a navy so powerful they didn't need walls to protect their paradise. But in a single cataclysmic event, it all vanished. Palaces reduced to ash, languages lost forever, and centuries of darkness followed. What if I told you this happened not once, but 3 times in ancient Greece? Civilizations rose to impossible heights, only to crumble into myths. Stick around, because today we're uncovering the shocking secrets of these lost worlds, and why their collapses might hold warnings for us today. If you're into history's biggest mysteries, hit that like button now, and let's dive in. Picture yourself standing on the sun-baked hills of Crete, the wind carrying whispers from 4,000 years ago. This isn't the Greece of marble temples and toga-wearing philosophers you learned about in school. This is something older, stranger, and far more advanced in ways that will blow your mind. We're talking about societies that engineered wonders we associate with much later eras, all while the rest of the world was still figuring out basic bronze tools. The Minoans, the Mycenaeans, the classical Greeks, and the Hellenistic empires. 4 chapters in a 3,000-year saga of brilliance, hubris, and rebirth. Why does this matter now in our age of skyscrapers and smartphones? Because history isn't just dusty ruins, it's a mirror. Think about it. Empires today rely on global trade, advanced tech, and fragile networks, just like these ancient ones. A drought here, a supply chain disruption there, and poof, everything teeters. The Minoans controlled the seas with their fleets, trading saffron and olive oil across vast distances, amassing wealth that made them the envy of the Mediterranean. Their palaces sprawled like modern luxury resorts, with indoor plumbing that flushed away waste through intricate clay pipe systems. Multi-story buildings rose with light wells to illuminate inner rooms, and frescoes depicted a life of leisure. Dolphins leaping through waves, young athletes somersaulting over charging bulls, flowers blooming in eternal spring. But peace like that doesn't last without a price. No walls meant total reliance on naval supremacy. One volcanic eruption, one shift in trade winds, and invaders could sail right up to their doorstep. Around 1450 BC, fire consumed Knossos, its crown jewel. Was it an earthquake shattering the foundations, a Mycenaean invasion from the mainland, or rebels from within, tired of elite control? We may never know for sure, but the Golden Age ended abruptly. Tablets ceased, art vanished, and survivors scattered. Then, the Mycenaeans stepped into the void. These were warriors, builders of massive fortresses with stones so enormous that later generations swore Cyclops, those one-eyed giants from myth, must have stacked them. Mycenae, Tyrans, Pylos. Hilltop citadels ringed by walls 20 feet thick, designed to intimidate and endure. Their kings sat in throne rooms warmed by central hearths, surrounded by painted warriors and bronze-armored elites swearing oaths of loyalty. They adopted Minoan scripts but twisted them for war, linear B tablets listing chariots, spearheads, and slave laborers, not poetry or philosophy. Yet even their might couldn't withstand the storm around 1200 BC. The late Bronze Age collapse wasn't just a Greek tragedy. It was a Mediterranean apocalypse. Palaces burned from Anatolia to Egypt. Trade routes snapped like overstrained ropes. Droughts, withered crops, famine stalked the land, and mysterious sea peoples, raiders from who knows where, sailed in waves, sacking cities and toppling kingdoms. Mycenaean strongholds fell silent, writing faded, and populations plummeted by up to 90% in some areas. For 400 years, a dark age enveloped Greece. No grand buildings, no records, just oral tales of heroic kings and Trojan wars that blurred into legend. But darkness breeds dawn. Around 800 BC, Greece stirred again. Iron replaced scarce bronze, and city-states called police emerged. Independent, competitive, innovative. Athens rose as a beacon, birthing democracy where ordinary citizens debated in the agora, not just nobles. Philosophers like Socrates probed the soul amid plague and war. The Parthenon crowned the Acropolis, its columns subtly curved to fool the eye into seeing perfection, a mathematical marvel reflecting a belief in rational order. This classical era faced its own fires. The Peloponnesian War pitted Athens against Sparta in a 27-year bloodbath, plague wiping out a third of the population, including leader Pericles. Yet ideas endured: democracy, inquiry, drama. Then, Alexander the Great, tutored by Aristotle, exploded onto the scene in 336 BC. In 13 years, he conquered from Greece to India, spreading Greek culture like wildfire. Hellenistic kings built opulent palaces blending styles. Minoan courtyards, Mycenaean authority, Athenian proportion, all scaled to imperial grandeur. Cities like Alexandria buzzed with libraries, theaters, and fusion philosophies. But empires overextend. After Alexander's death, his successors fractured the realm, and Rome eventually absorbed Greece. Independence lost, but culture immortal. Zoom out: rises, peaks, falls, transformations. Minoans left plumbing and peace, Mycenaeans, myths and might, classical Greeks, ideas, Hellenistics, globalization. Their stones whisper, societies are resilient but vulnerable. Interconnectivity amplifies success and failure. Climate shifts, invasions, inequality, echoes in our world. In this series, we'll dissect each layer, starting with the strangest, the Minoans. How did they thrive without war? What killed them? And what can we learn before our own paradigms crack? Buckle up. This journey through time will change how you see history and the present. Year 1900, British archaeologist Arthur Evans buys a plot of land on Crete, starts digging, and within weeks, he's standing in a palace that rewrites history, the Palace of Knossos. Arthur Evans wasn't your typical Victorian adventurer. He was a meticulous scholar, curator at Oxford's Ashmolean Museum, obsessed with ancient seals and scripts he'd collected on trips to the Mediterranean. Crete, freshly independent from Ottoman rule in 1898, was a land of opportunity and mystery. Local farmers had long plowed up odd artifacts, strange tablets, painted pottery shards. Evans, hearing rumors of a great palace beneath the Kafala Hill, negotiated with landowners and secured excavation rights. Rain-soaked soil yielded quickly. Walls of gypsum, fresco fragments, massive storage jars called pithoi. Within days, the outline of a vast complex emerged. 5 acres, multi-leveled, labyrinthine with over 1,300 rooms. Evans dubbed it the Palace of Minos, evoking the legendary king who housed the Minotaur in a maze. But this was no myth. It was real, dating to 2000 BC or earlier. The discovery stunned the world. Newspapers hailed it as the cradle of European civilization, predating classical Greece by a millennium. He employed hundreds of Cretans, training them in archaeology, and documented everything in sketches and photos. But controversy brewed. Evans reconstructed aggressively. Using concrete and paint, he rebuilt walls, staircases, even frescoes based on fragments, creating a vivid but partly imagined sight. The famous red columns, tapered inversely, wider at top, were his interpretation. Critics called it Disneyfication. Supporters said it brought the past alive. Knossos revealed a society unlike any known. No defensive walls, no weapon hordes, just open courtyards, theaters, and processional ways. Rooms included throne areas with griffin frescoes, suggesting ritual importance. Storage magazines held hundreds of pithoi for oil, grain, wine, evidence of centralized economy. Evans theorized a peaceful thalassocracy, sea empire ruling through trade, not conquest. Excavations uncovered the Queen's Megaron with dolphin frescoes, a bathroom with terracotta tub, and the earliest known flush toilet system. Rainwater channeled through pipes to wash away waste. Light wells illuminated lower levels, polythyra, pier and door partitions allowed flexible spaces. Evans divided Minoan history into phases: early, 3000–2000 BC, pre-palace; middle, 2000–1600 BC, palace building; late, 1600–1450 BC, peak and fall. He found thousands of clay tablets in Linear A script, undeciphered lists of goods, names, numbers. Seals and signets showed administrative sophistication. Frescoes depicted bull-leaping, saffron-gathering, bare-breasted women in elaborate skirts, hinting at matriarchal or egalitarian elements. Evans' work spanned interruptions. Balkan Wars, World War I, he was interned briefly as a British citizen. He published The Palace of Minos in 4 volumes, 1921–1935, a masterpiece blending fact and flair. Posthumously, his methods faced scrutiny. Radiocarbon dating later adjusted timelines, but his vision popularized Minoans. Imagine Evans' excitement, brushing dirt from a fresco of leaping youths, realizing this was a sport, a ritual, a worldview. Knossos wasn't a fortress, but a hub, warehouse, temple, admin center. It challenged Eurocentric history, showing advanced culture in the Aegean, influencing Egypt and beyond. Today, Knossos attracts millions, its reconstructed grandeur a testament to Evans' legacy. But beneath the concrete lies authenticity, a window to a lost paradise. As we explore further, see how this architecture defied Bronze Age norms. The Palace of Knossos, 5 acres, multiple stories, over 1,000 rooms. But here's what's bizarre. No fortifications, no walls, no weapons in the art. This civilization, the Minoans, built like they'd never heard of war. Minoan architecture was a symphony of functionality and beauty, blending seismic savvy with aesthetic grace. Palaces weren't isolated monuments. They anchored towns with planned streets, sanitation, and communal spaces. At Knossos, the central court, 130 by 60 feet, oriented east-west, perhaps for solar rituals. Wings radiated, west for storage and religion, east for residences and workshops. Multi-level design used grand staircases of gypsum, some 5 flights high. Light wells, open shafts, brought air and sun to interiors, preventing stuffy darkness. Columns of cypress wood, painted red and black, tapered downward uniquely, perhaps mimicking trees or for stability. Materials were local: limestone rubble for fills, fine ashlar blocks for facades, timber frames to absorb quakes. Crete is earthquake-prone. Roofs were flat, terraced for gatherings or drying crops. Drainage was genius. Terracotta pipes sloped to carry rainwater, waste to sewers, advanced as Roman aqueducts centuries later. Lustral basins and bathtubs suggest ritual cleansing or hygiene obsession. Other palaces, Phaistos, Zakros, Malea, mirrored Knossos, but adapted to terrain. Phaistos on a hill had theatrical areas with stepped seating for 500, perhaps for performances or assemblies. Towns like Gornia were grid-like: paved roads, 2-story houses with balconies, central shrines, sanitation everywhere, gutters, cesspits. No walls meant confidence in navy. Ports like Katsamba facilitated trade. Ship sheds protected fleets. Architecture reflected society. Open, fluid, nature integrated. Frescoes on walls showed landscapes bleeding into rooms, blurring indoor-outdoor. Compared to contemporaries, Egyptian pyramids were tombs, massive but static, Mesopotamian ziggurats, temple towers. Minoans built for life, administrative, economic, sacred in one. Theatral areas hint at public events, proto-democracy, earthquake resistance, wooden reinforcements flexed, post-disaster rebuilds incorporated lessons. Post-1700 BC rebuilds at Knossos were grander, with more ornament. Urban planning included roads connecting palaces, villas for elites with private courts. Akrotiri on Thera, preserved by volcano, shows 3-story buildings with windows, toilets, hot water systems. This architecture screams prosperity without paranoia. But vulnerability loomed. One disaster and rebuild or perish. As art reveals, they celebrated life vibrantly. Look at what they painted. Dolphins, flowers, acrobats leaping over bulls for sport. While everyone else in the Bronze Age was depicting battles, the Minoans were drawing garden parties. Minoan art was an explosion of color and motion, using the true fresco technique on wet plaster for lasting vibrancy. Marine motifs dominated, octopi coiling, fish schooling, dolphins frolicking, reflecting sea dependence. The Prince of Lilies fresco shows a youthful figure with peacock feathers embodying elegance. Women in Parisienne frescoes with makeup, curled hair, and flounced skirts suggest a fashion-forward society. Bull-leaping scenes, youths grasping horns, vaulting over backs, dynamic, risky, symbolic. Daily life was communal, prosperous. Farmers grew olives, grapes, and grains. Herders tended sheep and bees for honey. Fishermen netted tuna. Hunters pursued agrimy goats. Craftsmen in palace workshops produced pottery, eggshell-thin camares ware. Textiles, jewelry with gold and lapis. Women held visible roles, priestesses in art, perhaps goddesses central in religion. Society is possibly less patriarchal, with mother goddess worship. Feasts featured wine, music, lyres, sistrums, and dance. Children played with toys. Education was likely oral, practical. Hygiene high, baths, toilets, leisure, boxing, bull games. Art avoided violence, focusing on harmony. Pottery evolved from abstract to naturalistic. Seals carved intricate scenes for admin or amulets. Culture influenced neighbors. Egyptian tombs have Minoan-style frescoes. Hittite texts mention trade. This idyllic life masked fragility. Art's joy contrasts abrupt end. Their plumbing system more advanced than most of medieval Europe. Clay pipes brought fresh water in. Drains took waste out. Stone bathtubs flushing toilets. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. So here's the question. How do you build a civilization this sophisticated without armies? How do you stay this peaceful for 500 years? The answer is control, not of people, of the sea. The Minoans had the Bronze Age's most powerful navy. They didn't need walls because invaders couldn't reach the shore. They traded across the Mediterranean. Olive oil, saffron, wine, and grew impossibly wealthy. Their palace wasn't a fortress. It was a warehouse, a temple, and an administrative center all in one. Economy centralized in palaces, redistributing goods, agriculture, terraced fields, irrigation, exports, oil in stirrup jars, wine, timber, saffron from crocus flowers, pricier than gold, purple dye from murex shells. Imports, copper from Cyprus, tin from afar, ivory from Syria, gold from Egypt. Networks spanned 500 miles, colonies or emporia on islands. Navy, fast ships with 50 oars, sails, protected routes, projected power softly through trade. Bureaucracy, linear A for inventories, every amphora sealed, numbered. Wealth-funded art, architecture. But dependence on sea made vulnerable to disruptions. They kept meticulous records on these clay tablets. We call the script Linear A. The problem is we still can't read it. We have thousands of tablets, and they're complete gibberish to us. But we know what they were tracking. Grain, oil, livestock. The Minoans were organized. Every jar of oil had a number. Every shipment had a seal. And in the center of it all was the bull-leaping ceremony. Picture this, a massive courtyard, crowds watching, a bull charge, and a teenager, maybe 16 years old, runs straight at it, grabs its whore, NS, and flips over its back while it's moving. This wasn't just entertainment. It was ritual, youth, and courage. The whole Minoan worldview in one terrifying performance. Religion animistic, goddess-focused, Potnia, lady of animals, with snakes, birds. Peak sanctuaries on mountains for offerings, caves as birthplaces. Bull sacred, horns of consecration everywhere. Leaping, teams of leapers, perhaps initiation, fertility rite. Rituals, processions, dances, animal sacrifice, rare human. Linear A is likely a religious text, too. This spiritual life-infused daily existence tied to nature's cycles. And then everything ends. Around 1450 BC, fire rips through Knossos. We don't know if it was an earthquake, an invasion, or a revolution, but the palace burns, the tablets stop, the art disappears. Some Minoans survive and rebuild for a generation or two, but the Golden Age is over. Thera eruption, 1600 BC weakened, tsunamis, ash. Then Mycenaeans conquered using Linear B. Palaces destroyed, centers shifted. Culture lingered in hybrids, but purity was lost. Causes: natural disasters, overextension, and social unrest. Survivors fled to the mountains, influencing later Greeks. And from across the Aegean, a new power is watching. A power that believes in walls. The Mycenaeans were everything the Minoans weren't. Rising was 1600 BC, they filled vacuum, adopting but militarizing Minoan ways. Shaft graves with gold masks, weapons show warrior elites. Expanded via conquest, trade. Society hierarchical, Wanax king, Lawageta's military leader. Absorbed Crete. 1450 BC, palaces under Mycenaean control. Power through land armies, chariots. These are the walls of Mycenae. Limestone blocks so huge that later Greeks thought giants built them. They called them Cyclopean, built by one-eyed monsters, because no human should be able to move stones this size. This is architecture as intimidation. The Mycenaean kings ruled from fortified citadels on hilltops. Everything was about power, hierarchy, and control. Where the Minoans painted dolphins, the Mycenaeans painted warriors. Inside the palace at Pylos, you'd enter the Megaron, the throne room. A circular hearth burned at the center. 4 painted columns held up the roof. The king sat at the far end, watching everyone who entered. This is where loyalty was tested, where alliances were made or broken. Around that fire, warriors in bronze armor swore oaths. Envoys reported on rival kingdoms. Feasts reinforced the social order. Feudal, king, nobles, dependents, slaves. Military, boars' tusk helmets, figure-8 shields, chariots. Frescoes, hunts, battles. Feasts, ox roasts, wine, women, textiles, some power, Cyclopean masonry, boulders 10+ tons, Lion Gate at Mycenae with relief sculpture, Megaron, rectangular hall, porch, throne, Tholos tombs, beehive for royals, treasures, defenses, bastions, sally ports, contrasted with Minoan openness. Where the Minoans painted dolphins, the Mycenaeans painted warriors. Inside the palace at Pylos, you'd enter the Megaron, the throne room. A circular hearth burned at the center. 4 painted columns held up the roof. The king sat at the far end, watching everyone who entered. This is where loyalty was tested, where alliances were made or broken. Around that fire, warriors in bronze armor swore oaths. Envoys reported on rival kingdoms. Feasts reinforced the social order. Feudal, king, nobles, dependents, slaves. Military, boars' tusk helmets, figure-8 shields, chariots. Frescoes, hunts, battles. Feasts, ox roasts, wine. Women, textiles, some power. The Mycenaeans kept records too, but in a different script. Linear B. And unlike Linear A, we can read this one. It was cracked in 1952. And here's what shocked everyone. Linear B is Greek, early Greek, which means the Mycenaeans were the ancestors of classical Greece. But the tablets aren't recording poetry or philosophy. They're inventories, lists of weapons, chariots, personnel. One tablet from Pylos lists 400 women working as textile laborers. Another tracks bronze allocated to smiths for spearheads. This was a warrior culture obsessed with control and preparation. 5,000 tablets, rations, taxes, offerings, bureaucracy, scribes, palaces as hubs, decipherment by Ventris, syllabic Greek, no epics, just logistics. They were constantly fortifying, constantly arming, watching the horizon because something was coming. Around 1200 BCE, what archaeologists call the Late Bronze Age collapse. Everything falls apart. Palaces burn from Greece to Egypt. Trade routes collapse. Empires crumble. We don't fully understand why. Climate change, maybe invasions, internal rebellions, probably all three. Pylos burns. Mycenae is abandoned, the great citadels fall silent, and for the next 400 years, Greece enters a dark age. Writing disappears, monumental architecture stops, population crashes. It's like someone hit the reset button on civilization, but the stories survive. Generations later, people will tell tales about great kings who lived behind massive walls, about treasures buried in tombs, about a war fought over a woman named Helen. The Mycenaeans become myths. Migration, Iron Age transition, oral traditions preserve Homer's Iliad roots. 500 years after the collapse, Greece wakes up, but it's completely different. No more palaces, no more kings. Instead, city-states, independent polis, each governing itself, and the most ambitious one is Athens. Athens in the 5th century BCE is where Western philosophy, democracy, and drama are being invented. This is the Greece everyone thinks of first. But here's what's wild. They're building on ruins they don't understand. The Athenians can still see Mycenaean walls. Massive, ancient, mysterious. They make up stories about them. CYCLOPS heroes, lost ages of gold. They don't realize they're looking at their own ancestors, and their architecture reflects a completely new worldview. The Parthenon built on the Acropolis between 447 to 432 BCE, and every single line is designed around one principle, correcting human perception. The columns aren't straight. They bulge slightly in the middle so they look straight from below. The floor isn't flat. It curves up so it doesn't appear to sag. The corner columns are thicker because they're backlit by sky. This is architecture as mathematics as philosophy. The Athenians believed the universe operated on rational principles, and their buildings should reflect that. Meanwhile, in the agora, the marketplace, something unprecedented is happening. Citizens are gathering to debate, not nobles, not priests. Regular guys arguing about laws, ethics, taxes. Democracy is messy and chaotic and constantly on the verge of collapse. But it's theirs. Then in 431 BCE, war breaks out. The Peloponnesian War. Athens versus Sparta. Spartan troops surround the city. Thousands of refugees crowd inside the walls. And then plague hits. Within 2 years, a third of Athens is dead, including Pericles, their greatest leader. Socrates walks these streets during the plague asking questions. What is virtue? What is justice? How should we live? The Athenians don't have palaces anymore. They don't have kings, but they have ideas. And those ideas, democracy, philosophy, rational inquiry, those survive the war. Those reshape the world. By 320 BCE, Greece has changed again. Power moves north to Macedonia, and one man changes everything. Alexander the Great. In just 13 years, Alexander conquers everything from Greece to India. The known world is suddenly Greek, or at least Greek-influenced. This is the royal palace at Aigai, Alexander's ancestral home, and it's unlike anything we've seen so far. It's not a fortress like Mycenae. It's not a temple complex like Knossos. It's a statement. Marble colonnades, mosaic floors depicting hunts and gods, banquet halls that open to the sky. This is architecture as theater designed to impress diplomats, intimidate rivals, and display wealth. The Hellenistic period, the era after Alexander, is when Greek culture goes global. Cities from Egypt to Afghanistan are built with Greek columns, Greek theaters, Greek gymnasiums, but it's not pure anymore. It's blending with Persian, Egyptian, and Indian traditions. Greek becomes a common language across 3 continents. philosophy mixes with Eastern mysticism. The palace at Vergina represents this fusion. It takes the Minoan love of open courtyards, the Mycenaean sense of authority and the Athenian logic of proportion, and scales it up to empire size. This is the last evolution. After this, Greece becomes part of Rome. The culture survives, but the independence is gone. So, let's zoom out. 3,000 years, 4 civilizations. Minoans, Mycenaeans, Classical Greeks, Hellenistic Greeks. Each one rises, reaches incredible heights, then collapses or transforms. But each one builds on what came before. The pattern is this. Civilizations don't die completely. They leave traces, stories, ruins, ideas. And sometimes those traces are enough to rebuild something new. The Greece we know, philosophy, democracy, drama, that's just the surface. Underneath are layers of lost worlds, palaces without walls, kings behind stone, dark ages and rebirths. Before the gods of Olympus, before the myths, there were real people building real worlds. And their stones are still here, waiting to tell us who they were. If you loved uncovering these ancient secrets, smash that subscribe button for more deep dives into history's wildest stories. Drop a comment. Which civilization's collapse shocked you the most? And if this video hooked you, share it with a friend who geeks out on mysteries like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Archaic period bridged dark ages. Alphabet adopted colonization. Classical peak under Pericles. Golden age temples. Tragedies by Sophocles. Peloponnesian War. Thucydides chronicled. Socrates' trial. Plato's academy. Alexander. Battles like Gaugamela founded 70 cities. Hellenistic. Library of Alexandria. Euclid. Archimedes. Legacy. Shapes West. Warns of fragility.